Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Mac Merlin stream. If you guys are new here, you might notice that things are a little bit different. Actually, tonight's usually porting via ports, but it's really hot in Seattle, and if you guys caught my Saturday stream, things kind of overheated and shut down, so I would like to avoid that tonight. So instead of doing my regular 2 to 3 hour stream on Tuesday nights, I'm going to try and limit this to just an hour, hour and a half, we'll see. And we'll be talking about the Novelkey, silk, and dry switches. But before we begin that, let's talk about what Merlin is drinking tonight. Here we go. Tonight, I found another cider that I have been very interested in. This is the Camp Clementine Two Town Cider House Citrusy Summertime Cider. I've seen these a few times, just never actually went and tried it. Tonight's the night. Let's try it out. Let's turn on some tunes. Here we go. Let's see, who is online tonight? I'm seeing a Decode FPS, an Npang, a Zark, and a Mr. Pirulito, and a Skizu. Thanks guys for joining in. See, I see some foreign characters in Npang's name. I think that's... oh gosh, it's been a while since I've read Mandarin. I think that's Wu Guangwei. Am I correct? I think so. I know my tones are probably completely off. It's been more than a year since I last spoke Mandarin. Let's see. Mion Zero says hi. Hello to you too. Very nice. It's a very clear cider, a very light cider. Hopefully it tastes good. Oh, I like that. It's very citrusy indeed. Like it's a citrusy summertime cider. All right. As I said earlier, we'll be comparing quite a few switches tonight. Let's talk about them really quick. First and foremost, comparing NK Silk Yellows and NK Dry Yellows. Merlin, why is there so little Silk Yellows in your bag? It's because most of them are in my Iron 165. Here we go. So we'll be comparing these two and the equivalent in red and the equivalent in black, along with some popular switches such as alpacas, Gateron inks, creams. Let's see what else. Probably some regular Gateron yellows and Gateron blacks, I mean. Mion says, did you buy tangerine switches at TKC? Yes, I was part of the original group buy. They are in my Dolce Pack 60. This is actually pretty good. I might buy this again. So far, I've only seen it in Costco and in Whole Foods. So it's kind of like out of my way, not my regular grocery store. We'll see. All right. You guys caught my Saturday stream. I was building this Iron 165, and I was originally going to put alpacas and some Gaterons in it. And what happened was, as I was opening up the package, I noticed that Novelkeys sent me all of these extra switches, and I was like, holy crap, why don't I try them out? So I had all of you on stream decide for me which switch to use, and most people, 76% of chat, chose to use Gateron or NK Silk Yellow. So that's what's on my Iron 165 right now. And yeah, thanks so much Novelkeys for sending me all of these. I can actually talk about them in more in depth now. If you guys watch my Saturday stream, I probably talked about it probably within the first 20 minutes, but because since I was building a board, I didn't really want to delve too much into all of the specifics and all that. Mion said sold out in 10 minutes tonight. Yeah, I'm not a fan of tangerine switches. I think they don't sound very good. Alright, here we go. So, comparing the yellows, or in terms of silk and dry, these are actually made by JWK, the same people who make alpacas, mauves, tangerines too, I believe, along with the new mint colored switches and quite a few other recolors. This is not quite a recolor. I believe there are some NK specs involved as well. Also, the Silk series is factory lubed with 205G0. The dry ones, hence why they're called dry, is that they are not factory lubed at all. Just from a quick pressing of them, the Silk series is definitely smoother. So yeah, see a couple of people following. Ratchet Ryan, Pichu, Flipper Polo, Mikey S Jr. Thanks for following, guys. Yeah, so definitely if you're looking for a smoother experience, pick the silks over the dry. How do they sound? Let's see. It's funny because if you hold it up to your ear like what I'm doing right here, you can hear the scratch in the dry. You can definitely hear it, especially when you push slower on the stem like that. A lot of people said that this could have used a little bit more lube. I'm generally a lighter luber than most, so I think this is actually the right amount of lube. If I had time, if I had copious amounts of time, I would actually clean the switch out, just because I feel like it's not that consistent between what I have here and what I have left here. There's a very small difference between each of the lubes, but I can definitely feel it. And in some cases, you can hear it. Yeah. Let's see. Gavin Go says, how does the silk compare to GAT inks? I was originally going to put GAT inks on this board, and if you caught my Saturday stream, I actually had a customer's board with GAT inks. In terms of sound, I much prefer the GAT inks. He had GAT black inks in particular, and 70 grams is my favorite weighting. So right now, I definitely prefer GAT inks over these, but that's not to say that these are bad at all. I am actually quite enjoying this. After typing on this for a good 3 days at this point, I've gotten used to the switches. They're very good for some FPS games that I play. Definitely notice that I make more mistakes when I'm typing because they're so light, but it feels good. It feels good. Here, let's listen to some of this. It's just a quick sound test right there. They are definitely higher pitched than Gateron Black inks. So Gavin Go says, yeah, and these are a little cheaper too, just a little bit cheaper. If sound is important to you, I would say to still stick with the Gateron Black inks. Yeah, in terms of which one of these two sound better stock, let's see. There's massive spring ping in here, so that's one thing that you want to lube. Let's see if you guys can hear it. Zujo says, hello to you too. We're just comparing NK silks and dries tonight. I think if I had to choose between the two, silk or dry in terms of sound, I would actually pick the silk. Just because I feel all of that spring ping kind of detracts from how good these switches can sound. And I've actually gone through the rest of these switches before the stream. Like, it's pretty much the same. I do notice though that with the black switch, with the black switch in particular, I don't know why, but I think because it's a heavier spring, I think these are 72G, the spring ping isn't as pronounced. So these actually do sound better than their yellow equivalent. Npeng says, the dries are made so you can lube them yourself. Indeed. Well, I guess it depends. Do you like white or do you like black? Yeah, but if you guys are looking for a stock experience, I actually think these are lubed sufficiently well. Of course, if you are a pro luber, you're gonna look at this and be like, I can do better, and most pro lubers can. But the real question is, how do these compare with other switches on the market? So I've done like a little test here, not completely scientific, but here, let me pull out my test rig. Long ago, I tried to make my own plates and it didn't really go through. But I still have quite a few of them left, such as this one. What I have here, guys, here, let's see. Let me lower my lighting just a bit. Here we go, right there. This is a stainless steel plate that I made way back in the day. What I have on the top are some of the community's most popular switches today. First one being Kale Creams, also sold by Novelkeys, followed by Telios V2 from ZLPC, Gateron Black Ink, which we were just talking about earlier, your typical Gateron Yellow with a milky top and black bottom, followed by an Alpaca. And what we have on the bottom are the variants that we were just talking about. We have the Silk Yellow, Dry Yellow, Silk Black, or Dry Black, and Silk Black. And basically, one thing I was very concerned about it was, since these are JWKs, similar to the Alpacas, do they exhibit the same amount of stem wobble and housing wobble? And the answer is yes, they do. So if you've got films, this is definitely a candidate for filming. So just to give you guys a quick demonstration of how much this wobbles, the switch here that wobbles the least. Can you guess which of these top 5 wobbles the least? Anyone in the audience knows while I swig another cider here? Anyone know or care to guess which one wobbles the least? Let's see, Dubsadon says Telios, Cryon King, Zealamon, and Frequencies say Cream. You guys are correct. The creams are actually the ones that wobble the least, both in terms of stem and in terms of housing. Like, does it still wobble? Yes, it does. But it doesn't wobble as much as any of these other community favorites right here. In terms of what wobbles the most, though, is the Alpaca. Here, I'm gonna try my best to show this on camera. Let me stand up here and bring it up close to my overhead cam here. I should totally invest in like a telescoping lens so we can do this properly. Here we go. Let me actually bump up my mic too so you guys can hear me. Hello. Alright, never mind. I'll just try my best to talk into it. Okay, here goes. See? So if you take like your tweezer, like, please note that I am holding this suspended in like mid-air, so it's not going to be a completely accurate test. But if you take it and you wobble the stem a little bit here, you'll notice that not only does the stem wobble, but the housing wobbles a lot too. Like in my... Then you compare that to the creams right there. The creams barely wobble at all. Mian says, nice shirt. Yep, this is the Seattle meetup from 2018. This is the t-shirt that we were giving away. Let's see, and in terms of Gateron inks, Gateron inks wobble less than Telios. Telios still wobble a lot, but not that much. The Gateron Milky Top also wobbles, but if I were to put these in order from least wobble to most wobble, it would be creams, followed by inks, and it's pretty close between the Telios and the Milky Top Yellow, actually, from what I'm seeing, followed by the Alpaca. Right? Now let's take a look at these. These are the Silk, Dry Silk. Ratchet Ryan says, alpacas filmed in lube or mood? Absolutely. You guys have JWK switches? Absolutely need to film them. So just from this small sample size alone, I'm seeing that the silks are tighter than the dries in terms of wobble, both stem and in housing. Though I feel, I don't know why, but it almost seems that the silks have more stem wobble. But that could just be because I'm shaking this all around, right? Oh my god, it is so hot in here right now. Whew. And I've only been streaming for 15 minutes. Alright, I'm gonna try and stream for at least an hour before I melt here. And believe it or not, I've got a fan going on there to my right. I have a fan right there in my back as well. So it's just like, oh my god. Okay. So in terms of how I believe these would fit into the top over here, I would actually say, of course, it's creams is still on top. It would be creams, inks, followed by Telio, and maybe these guys, maybe. But a very, very close fifth would actually be the silk, followed by the dry, followed by the alpaca. And I'm just gonna make this big assumption that the alpaca, like the wobbliness of this, will also apply to mauves and every other recolor that's out there. See, Slado says, how low is the upstroke on the silk and dries? Here. Let's actually pause my music here so you guys can hear really quick. And this is the Iron 165. Let me do a quick typing test. You guys don't even need to see what I'm typing. I'm just gonna type at my own pace here. It's actually it's a very pleasant sound, in my opinion. It's not as deep as you would want it to be. Like I like much deeper sounds like the Gateron Ink or even Cherry Blacks, you know? Like in terms of the top over here, the sounds that I prefer the most are probably Ink, followed by Cream, followed by Gateron Milky Top, followed by Alpaca. Telios is actually very low on my list in terms of sound. Slado says very crisp. Were those the silks? Yes, these are yellow silks. Yeah, are they a good switch? Let's see, how much were these selling for? Guess I lucked out. I was planning on like purchasing them, but I guess Novelkeys beat me to the punch here. Let's see, how much were these inks? These inks sold for $5.50. I mean these silks and these dries sold for $5.50. That is roughly, what's that? That is roughly, where was that listing? That's roughly double the price of your regular Gateron switch. So still fairly cheap, but not like so cheap that you can just buy like a pack of 300 of them or so. Overall, I am quite happy with them. As some of you know, I actually really hate lubing, and I think that the lube job on this is really just, it's good enough, you know. Is it like the way that I would lube them? I'd say maybe around 80%, 80 to 85%. Sure, it's not perfect. But if you're new to the community, or you're just trying to look for a switch that you don't have to worry too much about, I would pick Silks. However, if you do like the color of this and you just want to add a little bit more lube, I do recommend cleaning off the old lube first before applying your new lube. Let me turn on my music again here. Oh my god, it is so hot. I'm gonna have to pour more of my drink here. There we go. All done. Yeah, I think if these came out again, I would most likely buy them. I do want to try building it with blacks next time around. He did send me a whole bunch of yellows, just both in silk and dry, enough for a full board. But yeah, I think I might have preferred a full set of blacks. If I had to choose, that's what I would have put onto my iron here. Slato says, hot in the PNW, I feel your pain. Callie be cooking a smidge too. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. Most people aren't used to these intense heats. I believe yesterday it was close to 92 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly, I think that's 31, 32 degrees Celsius. Today was Seattle weather today. How hot is it today? Today there was a high of 76. So quite a lot cooler, but still hella hot in this room. Let's see, Saturday's stream was, okay, that's why stuff started shutting down. It was 88 on Saturday. Okay. So what's next that I want to do on stream is actually try and film these guys. Let me grab some film and see how like things change. Grabbing some film. Do I even have any film? That's the good question right there. Someone was asking me earlier about my build services, saying, Merlin, I don't have any films. Can you spare some? And I'm like, I have a hodgepodge of them. I think I've got like 40. So here we go. We are going to use TX films. They're clear ones too, so that you guys can't see it on camera. Can you guys even see that? Yep, there we go. You guys can see that, especially if I turn it around. There we go. Okay. So we are going to keep the original ones in there. But once we film these, we're actually going to put some keycaps on and give you a quote-unquote close approximation as to how these switches actually sound. There we go. Where is my handy-dandy key opener? There we go. This is another Seattle-made product. This is from Keebio down in southern Washington, I believe. Let's see. Idimon says, oh god, I use clear films once and never again. Okay, here we go. Let's start with these. After you says you. That's interesting. These seem harder to open. too hard to see like solid colors. There we go. Can I actually see any of the lube? Technically, if you can see the lube, it means it's over lubed. Or maybe because it's white, so it's really hard to see. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Here. So TX films once again. TX films are some of the thinnest films. Let's see, Minnie says, would anyone know if the springs come lubed in silk switches or is it just the stem's housing? What I can say is I can't hear any spring ping in them, so I would say yes. I would say yes, they are lubed. But looking at it, I don't see that they're lubed, so who knows? Oh wait, I can feel it. I can feel some lube on it. Guess I answered that question really quick. Alright. Silk switch with TX film. Let's put that one down right there. Let me check the... So keep in mind, this was the tighter of the two switches already. So let's just... Oh yeah, that is a massive improvement. That's barely wobbling now. Yeah, that's huge. Let's see in terms of sound. See if I can hear a difference. Yeah, it made the sound a little deeper as well. It's not as sharp. Let's see if we can achieve the same effect on the dry switch. Oh man, these are much tighter, because look guys, I have an alpaca somewhere here. Alpaca, where are you? There you go, got an alpaca right here. These open relatively simply, but yet on the silks here, I'm having to try harder. So this would corroborate my claim that these are actually tighter than regular alpacas. Mr. Bamboo, I see you following. Thanks for doing that. There we go. Yeah, see, I'm touching the spring right now, Minnie. Do not feel... I don't feel any lube on the dry, whereas on the silk I did. And I think I just knocked down some of my film without realizing it. I can't see you, film. There we go, there we go, there we go. Yeah, TX films take that edge off. It's not as sharp anymore. It still has like the same tonal qualities, like it's still a higher pitched switch, but it's definitely not as high pitched as before. Let's see, does the dry benefit as much? Yeah, it definitely benefits, but I'm noticing that while it just about eliminates stem wobble. The housing wobble still... It's still kind of there, but I'm not sure if that's like the different variances across all of their switches or not, but at least with this one, the housing wobble is there. Though at a much lesser amount. Alright. So yeah, let's try a black one. Especially since I've got one more film left. And I don't know where the fourth one went anyway, so oh well. That's what I get for using clear films. Yeah, these are definitely much tighter. Like opening this, it almost feels like I'm opening a cream switch. Even though they're not as tight fitting as a cream. So my wife is currently in the other room. She's picking out a new playlist for me. For all of you longtime viewers, I usually have two playlists, one that's jazzy and one that's a little more hip-hop. Tonight we're doing like the jazzy playlist. She's like, let me pick out some tunes for you. So she's still using Epidemic Sound, and from what I'm hearing right now, it seems happy. So we'll see how her playlist turns out. I'm like, I don't exactly know which show I would do it for. Close, will you? I guess we'll find out. Maybe I'll do it for a build stream, who knows. There we go. Here, I'm gonna pause my music again. Have you guys listened to this? Actually, let me put keycaps on. What keycaps to do? Let's do here. Let's do these. Let's do a GMK set. Let's try and keep the profile's the same, so let's just keep it all at least on the same row, if anything. We seem to have more of row 3 here, so maybe we'll stick with that. IDMon says, random, but thinking of getting KBD fans module phone for ID80. Let me know how that turns out. I would be very curious to see. Because like you, I'm trying to improve the sounds of my ID80. And I have not been successful. Sweating so much here already, guys. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to grab keys from the same row. This would be row 2, if I'm not mistaken. Row 2 cherry profile caps. Okay, I think that should be enough. That should be enough. Okay, let's do this. Don't need the M key. I don't think I've got enough row 2s here. Hold on. Let's just... Meh. Just do this. Not row 2, row 3s. Should be similar enough. Similar enough profile. Alright, let's do the sound test. Let me bring this up closer to the mic. Let's pause the music. Pause. There we go, alright. Bring this guy up closer to my mic. Once again, not exactly... Actually, why am I bringing it closer to the mic? I'll just bring the mic down. There we go. There we go. Much better. Alright, we are going to do basically just the more popular switches on top again. This is the creams. Followed by the Telios. Followed by the Gateron Inks. Followed by Gateron Milky Top. Followed by Alpaca. Alright, let's see how these sound. So these are the yellow silks. Yellow dries. It's harder to do than I thought. Which sound do you guys like better? Silk or dry? Can you guys hear that difference? That's just stock right now. Silk and dry. ID Mon says almost like the dry thing, but I like my linears a little scratchy, so it's a baby tactile. Oh boy. All right. In terms of having them filmed, silk, dry. Honestly, I think once you put the film in, it's a lot harder to tell. I think they begin to start sounding very, very similar. But I would say I still have a slight preference to the silk than I do to the dry. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Ariman says dry sounds a little deeper. Yeah, stock-wise, dry sounds a little deeper based on the keycaps that I'm using. But when you put film in it, and the silk starts to sound closer to the dry, but the dry also kind of sounds closer to the silk. Oh, it's kind of weird though. Though I would say that the silk, actually, that the dry now sounds more like a silk than the silk sounds more like a dry. It's weird. There's nothing like listening to a guy on Twitch talk about how he perceives sound. As usual, your mileage may vary. But in terms of my ears and what I'm hearing right now, I am liking the sound of silks, whether they are filmed or not. Both of them sound pretty good, but I do have to say that the filming, does wonders. Holy cow. This barely wobbles. Oh, let's bring this back up. This barely wobbles compared to this. Abjit says the rails aren't even lubed on the silk. Yes, that is correct. You think my affiliate link in Twitch panels is broken? I don't have an affiliate link. That's probably why it's broken. It's just all you've got to do is use keyword wizard. There, let's go check that really quick. Let's check really quick. Sponsors. Oh, I see what's happening. It's for some odd reason it's adding twitch.tv next to it here. Let me fix that up. Let me fix that up. There we go. That should do the trick. There we go. Perfect. The link is malformed. Yeah, if you don't add an https:// in front of it, it seems to assume that it should be prepended with prepended with twitch.tv. Cool. Overall, I think it's good. I have a slight preference for like the silks, especially if I'm feeling like not lubing a switch. I think the lube job is sufficient. It's not the best that I've seen. You can definitely do better if you're a good luber. But for most people, I think it's a fairly decent switch. It's one of the better factory lube jobs that I've seen. Not that factory lube jobs are good by any stretch of imagination. But so far, so good. Would I buy them again? I think I would. So far, I'm really enjoying them on my Iron 165. Yeah. After I built this board and comparing it to my customer's board, I was having like a bit of jealousy. I was like, yeah, definitely gonna swap these out for Gateron inks once they're in stock again, or maybe just regular Gateron blacks. But the more I typed on it, the more I liked it. And no, this is not a case of Stockholm Syndrome, just because I've got worse boards that I've typed on and tried to like and still didn't like them. This one I actually started liking probably within the second hour of like building it. So I am quite pleased. This was a surprise to me. I do wish that he would have like a switch closer to like 70G. These are a tad too heavy for me. I think these are what, 73? Let me just check that weighting again. I believe these are 73. Silk switches. No, they're bottom out 72, so they're not that much heavier. But because 70 is already kind of like the top of my tolerance, I can definitely feel that 2 grams. Avjit says silent silks would be easy to do. Just need to swap stems. JWK makes silent switches already. I actually didn't know that. Ram Noodle, I see you following. Thanks, man. Whew. All right, let me take this all apart. But so far, I am very pleased. Very pleased. Unfortunately, I don't think. Here's the thing. Novelkeys is probably one of the only people who will be selling silks, at least for the next couple months, the next couple rounds. So if you're looking for JWK switches, I feel like your best bet would still be any of the multitude of group buys occurring, like the multitude of recolors and like all that. That's still your best bet in order to get a decent smooth switch. Let's see, how much did alpaca sell for? Alpaca sold on Prime KB for... Okay, I don't even remember. Oh, here we go, here we go. For $5.50 as well. There we go. No difference in pricing. I guess the next thing to talk about is it a significant difference that you would pick it over an alpaca? The answer is no. Okay, now this plate is really tight, so let me push harder here. There we go. Park the Shark says thinking about throwing some UHMWPEs in the silk blacks. Thoughts, Merlin? No thoughts, but why don't we try that? Because I have some UHMWPEs. Yeah, why don't we try that on stream? Once I get some of these switches out of the way. Oh my god, these are tight. Okay, you want silk blacks, right? Let's grab my silk blacks and try it out. Let's try out a UHMWPE in a silk black. Mainly this guy right here, silk black. And just so we can compare it to a stock silk black, let's grab another silk black here. Let me pull out my UHMWPE stems. I think I saw them as I was rummaging around for this plate. Here. Give me a moment. Aha. Here we go. Got them. UHMWPE stems. If you guys have never heard of these stems before, these are made of one of the more slippery materials known in our hobby. It's actually the same material that tangerines are made of. That's why they are so smooth. The issue with them is that they sound horrible. So any housing that you put it in, don't expect it to sound as good as stock. So here we go. Let's try it. Let's try this out. Silk blacks. This is completely stock. All I'm swapping out is the stem. No more lube, no film, just the stem. And we have it. Comparing that to the stock, okay, yeah. There is notably less scratch on it than the stock silk black, which is to be expected. Hold on. That's funny. Normally when I put a UHMWPE stem into any housing, there's a big difference in sound, but with these silks, not really hearing much of a difference, if any. Like, it makes it sound a tiny bit sharper, but it's not consistent. Here, I'm gonna put it on my plate. Here we go. I don't trust myself just putting this next to my ear. So here we go. Let's put it on the plate. Side by side on a plate. With GMK keycaps. So the E is the UHMWPE, and the T is the stock. Wow, that's really odd. I feel like the UHMWPE knocked back all of that high-pitched sound, which is very, very odd. Does anyone on stream know what silks and dries are like made of? Is it the same as every other JWK formula? Which is basically like polycarb on top and nylon on the bottom. Does anyone know what the silks and the dries are like made of? Because this is a very different this is a very different experience than if you did the same to like an alpaca. That's weird. It seems to dampen that like upstroke, so it's not as sharp sounding anymore. Very interesting. This might be the one switch where putting a UHMWPE stem in it is an upgrade in both smoothness and in sound. Huh. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, just so I'm not crazy here, I'm just gonna grab an alpaca switch, like so, and do the same mod. I'm just gonna do the same mod because Avijit says it is the same formula, meaning it's polycarb on top and nylon on the bottom. So that means if I were to do the same on an alpaca, I should get roughly the same sound, right? But I've done this before, and it's not the case. So I'm wondering, maybe things have changed since then? Who knows? Or maybe silks and dries are not actually polycarb top, nylon bottom. Okay. They do sound the same. It gives it a deeper sound. Or rather, maybe not like a deeper sound. It's still the same sound profile. It just takes away that high-pitched return. Ah, confusing. Park the Shark says, I had the same experience in a set of all milky yellows too. Okay. So keep in mind, these are just single switch tests. Your mileage may vary once you apply it to like an entire keyboard. So who knows? Who knows? To be fair though, this silk switch still sounds really, really good. It's just not a deep sound that I prefer. It remains to be seen if I can use this same mod on the alpaca and on the silk and see if it's gonna give me that same pleasant sound if applied across an entire keyboard. So yeah, if anyone on stream decides to try that, please write back. Let me know. Let me know if it is as good as you thought it would sound. Park the Shark says, when mine comes in, I'll try it on the full board and let you know how it plays. Thank you. I'm very curious. I'm very curious. But as it is right now, I still prefer the sound of the regular silk before those new stems were like put in. So given this option, I probably would still stick with stock. We'll see, we'll see. I've noticed that throughout my keyboard career, I've cared less and less about how smooth a switch is, but more and more how a switch sounds. Mainly because I've gotten like better at lubing. So now, give me any switch, and I can get it to feel good. Like, good enough for me to like want to type on it. But there are switches out there that like, even if you lube it perfectly, it's still not gonna sound good at all. For example, tangerines. The only way that I've gotten tangerines to sound good was to put a cherry top on it. Oh man. All right. Let's see. It's about an hour in. My legs are already sweating. You can feel the sweat go down my legs. I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, before I sign off here, does anyone have any other combos that they want me to try? Any other questions that they have regarding silks and dries? I'll try my best to answer them, but I definitely won't be on for much longer. I think I'm going to turn on all the fans, open all the windows here, and just lay out because it's so hot. There, let's go take this apart. How are the red silk? Are they super light? The red silks are actually very comparable to what you would expect from a Cherry MX Red. In fact, their actual weighting, according to Novelkeys, is bottom out 55G, which is very similar to Cherry MX Red. I actually have some red switches here, so hold on. Are they even within reach? I apologize, they are not within reach because I've never used reds. I've not used reds in such a long time. Yeah, these are really light. They are lighter than the equivalent alpaca. Where's my alpaca? Here we go. Here, let's pull that alpaca out with the inverse stem. So alpacas are 62, right? 62. Yeah, these are notably a lot lighter. Honestly, if you're going for reds, I think just buying like Gateron reds is like more than sufficient and at half the price. Yeah, I think like the most compelling silks and dries are probably going to be the yellows and the blacks, but reds, meh, not so much, to be honest. Let's see. I think that's pretty similar to the dry ones as well. Same 55G bottom out. I think I mentioned earlier that the heavier spring ones, such as the black, seems to resonate a lot less. That's very true with these. I can hear lots of spring ping. There. Bummer, those only ones left in stock. Yeah. Well, you know, they may be the only ones left in stock in terms of silks. But, as I recommended earlier, you can always get Gateron reds. Here. Let me find that link for you. Here we go. Gateron reds are also sold out. Shoots. Okay, yeah, yellows are still in stock. And blacks. Yellows and blacks are the only Gateron switches in stock. Yeah, they're just, I know, if you're really looking for reds and you want them now, why not? Why not? Why not indeed? The Wild Winston says, sorry, joined super light, gonna catch the video later, but did you notice the dry were scratchier than lube? Yes, they are, because the silk ones, oh, scratcher even lubed? I did not lube them, actually. These are just stock. I'm not gonna waste my lube on them. Let's see. Yeah, I would be very, very interested to see what kind of formulation like the material has. All right, folks, it is 8:35 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest. I think I'm going to sign off in a bit before I just completely melt here, or if my hardware starts to die like what happened on Saturday. Hopefully this coming Saturday, the stream will actually be longer than an hour. I do have a customer build occurring, which I will be prepping for this coming Thursday, so stay tuned for that stream. I will be building a KBD67 Mark II soldered version with Telios that I will be lubing and filming, assuming that the film actually arrives in time. So definitely, if you're interested in the lubing stream, not sure why you would be, check me out on Thursday. Until then, hope you guys have a good rest of the week. Make sure you drink lots of water, stay safe, and wash your hands. Catch me on Thursday, guys. Goodbye.